Well, this is the first render that I've produced in more than a year. It does still need a lot of work. I can definitely improve the nebula, and I'll probably add a cloud layer to the Earth that will revolve separately around it. The only part of that animation that I didn't create is an image taken from NASA. They provide them royalty-free and they are legal for use. I just took a sphere and wrapped an image around it to make the Earth. Full Sail University actually never taught me any animation or software. So everything I've learned to do, I taught myself. This would probably be a happier time for me if I were not going in for surgery tomorrow morning. When the dentist she came back with the x-ray, he had this incredibly screwed up look in his face. He kept asking me if it had hurt. He gave me some Vicodin. Usually they give you like 5 or 10 or something, but he gave me 30. This isn't the first tooth that I've lost for these reasons. It's not even the first tooth I've lost in the lower left portion of my mouth. I won't be able to afford the denture, so I guess I'll have to get used to eating on the right side of my mouth here. I was able to do this sort of animation easily a year ago when I had my Mac. I lost the ability to do them when I was forced to sell the Mac. So then I moved over to my less powerful Windows machine until it was attacked by viruses. And then I wiped it, replaced the operating system with Ubuntu, so I had to learn a different set of tools each time. This is a shot of Point Blank, Texas. I modeled the bullet holes right into the sign. Unfortunately, the computer I have definitely doesn't have the resources to let me finish this. I probably can't even get still shots from the city scene. I certainly can't do full animations. So I'm shelving this project for the time being and moving on to something my computer is capable of. The view from outer space is a better fit. I can easily produce still images for a kind of online comic, and occasionally, maybe, do short animations. The characters will be more cartoon-like and easier to render. It's about an alien who comes to Earth and how he reacts to the ridiculous things he sees here. This is a kind of larval stage view of Wonk. I need to make his eyes next, which will be separate objects so I can rig them for expression. I suppose from the outside it looks like I'm moving slowly, but I've come pretty far in a few short months. I can make animations. I need to develop the models, but once I have a library of them, I can reposition them and use them very quickly. I also have the ability to do Hollywood-style video editing. I can mix my own sounds, including a lot of complicated effects. I can even clean up audio to remove background noise and some other tricks. I can also convert an incredible variety of media from one type of file to another. Now that I've gotten my tools organized on this system, I can finally do what I've always wanted to do. I can learn rigging. Without rigging, I could move a car I've made down the road, but each wheel wouldn't rotate, and the car wouldn't bounce when it ran into a pothole. In characters, rigging is about setting up bones and joints within the model so I can move the character about the scene in a convincing way. The better a job I do at setting up a rig, the more time I save myself later. It's quite complicated and I'm on my own, but I'm not worried. Everything that is true today was true when I learned how to model the parts and how to texture objects so the color was right. I was similarly without books or teachers when I learned compositing and when I learned Python. Motion is the soul of animation, and I've always wanted to be an animator. This is Tom Cruise playing Les Grossman, a character from Tropic Thunder. He's an egomaniac movie producer. And this is probably the single funniest dance routine I've ever seen.
Heads up! Heads up!
Fair use.
Here's another one.
But one of my plans is that I would like to give one of the characters from The View from Space, Wonk, this character's body language and eventually even this dance routine. It'll require some really complex rigs. but I think with a skinny body, it'll really work for some great visual humor. Welcome to Woodhaven Apartments in Pueblo, Colorado. This door locks behind you, and they indicate that if you leave it propped open, they will write you up. And this is the Woodhaven fire alarm. Don't worry, there isn't a fire. It does this all the time now. About a week ago, I was woken up at 1 o'clock in the morning. I went around, checked for smoke, couldn't find any signs of anything. I assumed that the fire alarm would report directly to the fire department, but that wasn't the case. After about a half hour, I finally called them. When they showed up, it was 3 firemen who didn't bother to check for a fire. They went in here and sort of knocked it down to its present level so that they couldn't turn it off. Someone else would have to do that. It's my assumption that that means that we don't have a fire alarm right now. I don't know. I live down here in apartment 104. I run the fan all day so that I won't have to listen to that racket. Currently looking at the bridge that I cross over to go shopping, and my house is basically in that direction. And this takes me to Walmart and a lot of other places. I don't know how well it comes through in the video here, but we don't have a whole lot of water right now. The place I'm hoping to locate to eventually is located a couple miles in that direction, and it would give me easy access to shopping. Belmont is not a terrible place. There's a lot of nice houses there, but they just pretty much assume that everybody has access to a car. I have to go a pretty long ways to get most of the things I need. I'm sorry I was so negative when we talked the other day. They just ripped a molar out of my mouth, and it's difficult to be positive after something like that. The walk home was pretty brutal. I had to go outside and walk around until I found a bus stop. And I spent an hour on the bus, and I fell asleep before we got to my stop. So I had to get out of the bus and walk another 20 minutes before I got back. And I was about done by then. This is what I always wanted to do, rigging animation. I have some time now to figure out a way to make some money with what I have, and I have tools that I never had before. So don't worry about me. I hope that things go well in China. If you get to feel any isolated, we can at least talk by email, and though they put up some pretty significant barriers to communication, it's possible I might be able to figure out a way around those. So there are things that I've been thinking of making, of animating for years, and this is the time that I can do that. And so far as the river goes, the tool that would allow me to show people that hasn't been created yet. But if I can learn how to use the things that I have now, well, then maybe in time I can